Let's I'll give it a couple more minutes to let people kind of trickle in before we get started. You guys see my screen all right?
Oh, yes.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, I think we can get started today. Good morning, everyone. My name is Josh, and today will be a short training for showing you how to upload your sheets in ACC. So we'll be going through the ACC Sheets module. So today, we're going through how to upload your drawings into the Sheets module, how to number and title each drawing, as well as adding revisions to drawings and some other functions of the Sheets module. Today is mostly going to be a live demonstration of ACC Sheets. Um, so after the training, we'll make sure we send over the recording for you so that you can rewatch the training if you need to look back. So to get started, you go into your ACC build and go into the Sheets module. And to start off, you just click Add Sheets, or it will open a new page, and you'll have four different steps before you actually upload and publish your sheets into the module. So the first off, you'll need to get your drawings and drag and drop them. So today we're in our H5 rehab project, the test project that we usually use. Um, and I have a sample set of drawings that I'll be uploading. So you can either search for it from your computer or simply drag and drop it onto this page. And once it says that it's done and upload is completed, you can click next to version set. Here you'll be naming the version of the drawings that you have uploaded. Typically, the first one is going to be the baseline drawing. Um, I've already done a previous testing before, so I'll be using the same naming convention as H5 baseline drawings. But if you're starting off in this module, you can type new version set and add your drawings here, as well as adding the date that the drawing was issued. So here I have it set up for July 9th as when the baseline drawing was sent. And I'll move on to the next step, going to the sheet numbers. Here, it'll take a little bit of time to process, but the test that I have shouldn't have too many drawings to process. So hopefully it'll pop up soon. Here we go. And here, ACC will try its best to recognize what where the page numbers are um, in the drawings. But for the most part, it'll do its job if it's a standard drawings. But here we'll have to manually tell ACC where the sheet numbers are in the drawing areas. So what we'll do here, as you can see, this may not be the correct sheets that you want to look for. So we'll start off by highlighting all of the drawings. Here we recommend not doing the title page because the drawing name isn't typically there. And we'll have to wait until all of this is has been uploaded before we can do any of our revisions to change the sheets. Once ACC has done its initial read of the drawings, we'll choose all the drawings except the title page. And here we can choose the draw sheet number area. You'll have a pop-up here telling you that you'll be able to use the draw tool and define the area where you can capture the sheet numbers for all the selected sheets. So here it'll take a second to open the drawings up. And once it's up, we'll be able to use the drawing tool and show ACC where all the sheet numbers should be on the drawings. Let me try to reload this. Try that one more time. Hold on for a second. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen so I can upload the drawings real quick. So give me 1 second. Here we go. So uh, after you click the drawing tool, you'll a page will one of the first pages will appear. And here we can zoom into the bottom right corner of the drawings and we can highlight the area for the sheet number that we want to use. So you'll need to click this drawing tool, the right hand side, and just highlight the area that you wanted to scan and read so that it can extract the page number. You'll only need to do this for one page. So just do this on the first page, click save and apply. And now it will try to read all of the sheets after the title page that you've highlighted and get the page number. So as you can see here, it'll read the page number and apply it to the sheet number section. If there's any, you can scroll down here and do a quality check to just make sure that it read the sheet number properly. Sometimes there is some issues with some fonts where it might jumble up the words. So it's good to always double check the sheet numbers. But once you're satisfied with what the sheet numbers look like, make sure to just put title for the first page. And now we can move on to the next step. Next, going on to the titles and tags. Here, a similar step. ACC will try to recognize what the title is. If not, you'll need to manually show it where to find the titles on your drawings. Again, we'll click and highlight all of the sheet numbers, all except for the title page. And now we'll click the draw sheet title area like we did from the previous step. Here we can zoom in again to the bottom right corner and click this drawing tool and highlight the area where the sheet, title of the sheet is going to be. Do your best to try to highlight a large major portion of the title because sometimes the title may be slightly larger than where the area is initially going to be. So I try to highlight a large portion of the area without getting, any excess information. And once you created your area for ACC to read, click save and apply. Again, you'll only have to do one sheet. And now it will try to extract the sheet of the title did on the previous page. And here you'll have an example of the thumbnail that is trying to read. So you can use this as a way for you to double check and make sure that it's reading it correctly and using the correct symbols. Here is a good example where it doesn't recognize the ampersand symbol. So you'll need to do some corrections and go through your sheet titles and just make sure that um, it's extracting the correct words and symbols. Again, you can just put a title page for the first page. You can put it as the name of the project. For me, I like to just use a simple title for the title sheet. And once you're done with going through all your sheet titles, you can click Publish Sheets. Here, it'll take a little bit of time for larger sets of drawings, but for this one, it's only 7 sheets. And once it's published, you'll be able to go through each of the sheets here. Um, and in ACC, it will try to recognize the discipline of the sheets based on the drawing numbers that you have assigned it. And here you can customize the discipline by changing it in the settings. So for here, we have um, E, but it recognizes it as electrical. But we know that EC for these drawings are for erosion control. So we can go to settings and click disciplines. And we can add our own custom designator for our names. So any pages that we see EC, we'd like to call it erosion control. And once we have added a new designator and new name, you click apply to sheets. And if we go back to the main page, it'll now recognize any pages that have EC as an acronym as erosion control. Similar to here, we have T1. We know that T is for the traffic control pages, but here it's recognizing it as telecommunications. So again, we can go back to the settings under disciplines, find the letter T, and make our edits here and change it to what we need it to be. And once we have that, make sure you click apply to sheets again to update the sheets so that it has the correct discipline. And again, if you don't see anything here, that means it doesn't recognize the drawing number, so you'll need to add this. So for the letter N, we can just add this as notes. So we can go back to disciplines, put the letter N here, so it can recognize the page number. And we'll add notes as the name. Again, click apply sheets to make sure it saves and updates. And now all of the disciplines and tags have been added. And you can add additional customizations too by adding certain tags to names. But for me, it's I like using the discipline so that it can I can search through it and filter out just the specific sheets that I like to go through. But you can also use the tag to add more information to your sheets. And one more step that we need to add is when you have additional revisions to drawings, you'll use basically the same steps that you go through as you added the original baseline drawings. So here, let's say you get a new revision to the drawings and you just received it in a package. You can click Add Sheets. On the side here, I have a sample revision 1 drawings. There are only a couple of pages here, less than the baseline drawings, and it will supersede the drawings that we have here that we added to the baseline. So again, click and drag your drawings to the first page or search for the drawings. Go to the next version set. Here you can add revision 1. I did a previous one before, so I'll just use the same naming convention. Drawings, H5 drawings revision 1, and add the issuance date of when the drawings were issued. and then click next to sheet numbers. Again, ACC will try to process, upload, and try to recognize the sheet numbers like it did in the initial baseline. And again, ACC will try its best to recognize where the sheet numbers are, but here we know that these aren't the sheet numbers that we'd like to use. So again, we'll have to highlight all of the pages and we'll uncheck the title page and draw the sheet number area again. We'll zoom in again to the bottom right, use our drawing tool on the right-hand side. I can drag and highlight the area that we want it to read. Click Save and Apply. And here it will show you the thumbnail of what it's trying to read. Go through and just make sure that it's reading it correctly. Retitle the title page. And here you can see that it's superseding a previous drawing if it has the same sheet number. If it's a new page, it will just have the revision 1 drawing showing that it's the first of its page. Again, we'll go to the titles and tags. Here it seems to be picking up the correct notes. You go through the drawings and just check the drawing page and make sure it's getting the correct sheet title page. If that is correct, you can leave it as is, but if it isn't, go through the same steps of highlighting the sheet number and drawing the sheet title area once more. Save and apply. Do a quick quality check to make sure it's reading it correctly. And then we'll publish sheets. And now that we have the new sheets, here it'll just show you the sheets that you have updated. And it's just filtering out for all the revisions. But if we clear this up, you can see all of the different all the drawings that we have currently. And here on this column, it'll show you which version or how many versions or revisions of that drawing. If you click on a particular page, on the very top left-hand corner, you can go and search through each of the different revisions that have been uploaded for that particular drawing if you need to check and see what the differences were or what changes have been made to them. And with that, that is the end of our short training for today in uploading sheets into ACC. We do recommend it. We do hope that everyone starts uploading their sheets here if they haven't already been doing so. It's good to be able to share the drawings and keep them up to date here, and sharing with the project team on what the latest and greatest versions of the drawings are in ACC. And with the sheets and any other modules that you have that allow references, you can always reference a particular sheet or multiple sheets into the document, such as submittals or meeting minutes or RFIs. You can use the references to tag any of the sheets and drawings that you want to be able to refer to and just be able to jump on from those different, from the other modules. And with that, that is the end of my live demo. Are there any questions? Let me check the chat if there are any. Does the contractor have access to the sheets module? Can they see the published sheets? Yes. Um, the contractor uh, are able to see the um, all the drawings that you have uploaded. Um, if they don't, you can always go to your settings and permissions, um, and make sure that everyone has the view function. Um, the standard are anyone that has the admin privileges is able to upload and manage the Sheets module accordingly. Otherwise, everyone that has an account or is a member of your project should be able to at least view the sheets. Are there any additional questions that anyone has regarding uploading sheets? Is there planned integration with PlanGrid? Um, I think this is a probably a good one to ask you, Cord, of what exactly we're doing with this in regards to PlanGrid.
No,
Is there
Calvin, at the moment, no. ACC Sheets is the evolution of PlanGrid, so no plan to integrate there.
PlanGrid is going away,
Yes.
so it's discontinued. Sheets replaces it.
see. If you want to include the standard plan sheets, then can you add it as a separate set of sheets? Not exactly sure what the question, how to answer that question there, Marvin. Um,
The answer.
Oh, go
The
ahead,
answer
Corey.
is the answer is yes. Yes, you can add the standard plan sheets. What I've seen typically on some projects is they'll add it as a different version set in towards the end of the plan sheet. So they'll have all of their disciplines ordered to have the actual
Oh,
plan
that-
sheet, the contract plan sheets at the beginning, and then they'll assign the standard plan sheets as a discipline at the very end so that you can reference it at the end of the documents and not have it at the forefront.
Can you repeat that last part again, Cord? How do you
So
put it at the end?
yeah, so Josh, if you can navigate to the disciplines, and so when you set up your project plan sheets this way, each discipline is, N for notes, presumably EC erosion control, G general. So you can go to the disciplines. So if you go back to settings, Josh, top right, and then you go to disciplines, then you can rearrange how the disciplines are ordered. So what I'm saying is the best practice if you wanted to add standard plan sheets are call it or name it something, give it a name like that, designate the discipline letter, and then name it standard plan sheets, and then drag it all the way to the bottom so that it's at the very end of your contract plan sheet. To answer the next question, I know if you make markups on a sheet, it's your personal markup, so no one else is able to see it. So only you and your account. However, if you do have permission level to be able to publish markups, then everybody who has visibility on that sheet will be able to see your markup. Now, right now, the setting on this project is that contractors or everyone are not able to publish markups. So you are or administrators on the project are the only one who can publish the markups, but you can change that within the permission settings.
Mhm. The sheet modules include subfolders, say RFIs, working as builds. We're still working on best practice for as builds in ACC on what works best, and we'll hold a separate training on what we'll do in regards to as builds. But in regards to RFIs, you can always just tag any of the sheets from the RFI module.
Yeah.
Or vice versa.
I remember sending the code. You're gonna go on.
Johnny, are you asking a question? I'm so sorry. Can't hear you that well. If you were. All right, Johnny, I think I'm going to mute you, but if you have a question, please feel free.
Just to show people, if you jump into your RFI and you click the references at the very bottom, click add references, you can choose sheets. And here you can, if it's a particular drawing that it's referring to, you can always tag here. We'll show what sheet it's in reference to. ACC sheets, layer drawings. There is a comparison tool. That's what you're referring to, so that it overlays the two drawings. Is that what you're asking, I know? So at the very top right, there is a comparison tool. If it's for the same sheets that you want to overlay and see what the differences are, you click the comparison tool, choose your sheet A and sheet B, and choose which versions you want to compare. And here it'll show you, red and blue. Here I used the same sheets for the purposes of this training, but if there were any changes that would happen to it, it'll have either a blue or a red font color to show you where exactly those changes are and which drawings it's referring to. For working as builds in sheets, some other module. Again, we're still working on the best practices for the as-built portion. Some people have requested making their own separate as-built project or a separate project in ACC where they just upload only their as-built drawings there, and they bridge the two projects together, the as-built project and the main project, so that they are tied. Some people like to use some people would like to use the main set of drawings to do their as-builts, and we're still kind of determining the best practice for that. Either way, it's still using the Sheets module to upload and manage your drawings. Are there any other questions for the Sheets module using it? Right, not seeing anything else in chat. So
I got a question. So
Okay.
in going back to the as-builts,
Hmm?
are we able to copy a project to simulate the, or well, are we able to copy the original project so that we don't have to redo everything for the as-built if we want to do a working as-built? And how do you do that?
You essentially want to just create a separate as-built project to track all of those drawings, and you just want to basically duplicate all the information. Is that what you're
Yes,
asking for?
rather than having to start all over again in creating the project.
So I mentioned it earlier in regards to adding the project, but there is this bridge function where you can basically share data between the two projects. Um, so for the example that you have here, if you were to create an H5 rehab project as built as a separate project, and you want to share all the other information, you can just bridge all the other modules from specifications, issues, forms, submittals, RFIs, photos. All the information that you upload from the main project will be basically shared into the as-built project, so you don't have to maintain two sets of data. Um, I would leave the sheets as one that you don't share, so that you can just manage one set for your main project, and for the as-built project, you can do the you can just manage your as-built set there. But if you just want to share all the other information, such as files and all the other modules, you can use this bridge function um, to share um, all that information. And well, I think we'll probably hold another training that would be a good one to share with everyone, um, doing the bridge, using the bridge function. But again, we're still trying to determine um, the best practice for maintaining your as-built set.
But using the bridge, you already have to have the second copy or second set for the
The second
markup.
project.
Yeah. How do you
Yeah,
create
yeah.
the copy rather than having to redo all the steps over again in loading the sheets?
If you just want to use the same sheets, you mean?
Yes, just make a copy of the original one you added to the project. Is
You can.
there a short way of doing it rather than having to go through all the steps again, what you did earlier for creating the sheets for this test project? Can you just duplicate the set of sheets and then rename it as a working as-built or markup?
Uh, the the short answer to that is the shortcut would be using sharing the sheets. And essentially, what it will do is grab the sheets from your baseline project and shoot it over to your as-built project, and you can make all your markups on the as-built project. Um, but you need to set up the bridge where it doesn't share all that as-built data that you want to, all the notes and markups that you do. Make sure it doesn't jump back onto the main your main project.
Yeah,
Could you
well,
show us and walk us through? I mean, just to create the sheets, the working as-built sheets for this test project.
real quick,
This
Marvin, I was just gonna jump in real quick. So I think
Yeah.
we're gonna have to hold a separate training for as-builts because there's kind of a lot that goes into that. I mean, basically the as-builts are required by the contractor, right? So it's kind of a whole separate thing where we need a set that the contractor is using to mark their as-builts that we would then review. I think what we're showing is kind of more like our notes on the as-builts that we would use to kind of compare against what the contractor submits later. So for the as-builts that the contractor is required to produce, that will require probably a separate training, I would recommend.
Oh, what about if we want to create a set where we can mark it up just to track, so we can use that to compare with the contractors
That
as built
said,
set.
what you're talking about, I would say, is what we should be doing in the sheets module on our project. Like you're saying like you want to kind of take what's in the sheets here and then have markups that are not shared with the contractor. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like the answer to Andrew's question earlier, one comment was to make a separate copy of the sheets
If you
and
wanted a
and
separate
then bridge it.
copy that the contractor couldn't see, and let's say, yeah, like if the inspectors wanted to just use their own set and be able to mark it up without it going to the contractor and everything, you could use that bridge function like Josh is talking about. Basically, you could bridge over the drawings and then mark it up there.
Yeah, but how do you create that markup set from the original? Once you load up the sheets into ACC Build, how do you create that second set where you can use it as a markup?
It will automatically basically duplicate the sheets in the other project, and you can just mark up those sheets in
Yeah,
the.
so how do you create that other project?
You can just request econ to create that project. It's the same steps as creating another project. Just shoot an email to econ and say, hey, I'd like to create a as-built sheet. But again, we are kind of holding off on doing that because we're still kind of trying to determine the best way to kind of handle that. And as Joe mentioned, we'll have to hold a separate training on doing as-builts.
Yeah, I think as built is kind of its own thing, so we'll have to do a separate training for it, and we can show you how to do both. I think what you're trying to accomplish, which is create a set that you could mark up, or if you know
Yes.
if you feel comfortable, you could also do those markups on the sheets that are in your project.
Yeah, for a while I tried that, but I was having a hard time. I
So
don't want to
maybe we
get it
need to have
mixed
a
up.
training on
Markup.
marking up sheets.
Yeah, but
Mhm.
yeah, especially how to create it once you load up and got the original project set up with the sheets for the inspectors and the contractor to see.
Yeah, so I mean, for that part, we could maybe Josh could show you real quick. You should be able to get in there and mark up the drawings, the ones that he just loaded in. Um, yeah, you should have the capability to be able to mark those up.
Is he a member of this project?
So see how he's got his tools there on the right, and basically you could, yeah, just do a note on there or something or shape. So he's adding that comment there. Now see how it says edit, duplicate, reference, publish, delete. So if he were to hit publish on that, it would then go onto that sheet. Sorry, I was actually looking at your on the left there, Josh. Yeah, that little box. So if you click that, and
Are we
then
talking about?
if you hit that publish button, that'll go live, and then everyone will be able to see whatever you mark up. So if what I was saying is like if your inspector's out there and he's like, hey, you know, I don't know, there's little subtle changes from what's shown on the drawing, and they wanted to notate that in, they can do that directly on the sheet and then publish it. And then in theory, the contractor would take that information and apply it to their version of the as-builts, which, you know, like Josh said, we're still kind of trying to iron out those details. But I think the best way is to just have a bridged project. So the contractor has their as-builts in a bridged project, and they're applying their changes, and then they can reference ours and say, oh, okay, looks like the inspector added this, so we need to make sure we add it to our working as-builts. Because at the end of the day, their as-builts are what gets turned in to design, right? And saying, this is what we built.
And
I
that's
think
why I'll
there,
just be interested in how to make a duplicate copy to be used only as a markup. And so I don't have to worry about, any of the boxes or whatever being placed on the original.
All of the markups Cord mentioned before that you make are only seen by you unless you click that publish button. Then it won't be shown for anyone else. And for any of the markups that you do have, you can always hide the markups so that you can just see a clean version of the sheet. And
yeah, so it's a layer, Marvin. Like you're just
yeah,
adding a layer to the sheet, but you can always remove that layer if you're worried about marking up the baseline drawing or whatever. You're just adding kind of working as built notes as a layer to your drawing.
I guess in my mind, my way of thinking is like before, I would have a set that's totally clean. Like if I need to Xerox a sheet to make few change orders, but I would also have a working copy, which would be a copy that would have my markups and notes. So I'm asking how once I create the original set that everybody will see, how do I make the set that I can use as a working copy? Like how do you duplicate that project so that it can be just used to mark up and put notes on? Is it simple or is it complicated to somehow copy the project and create? I mean,
I would
like on a
say
computer, you can just copy a file, right? And then label it label it as a copy. And then you can make modifications or whatever. But how do you do that in ACC Build once you set up the original project?
I would say there is no real need to basically duplicate the drawings. If you want to have your own working copy and adding the notes yourself on the main project for yourself, you can always add all these different notes for yourself when as any changes happen or just things that you want to remind yourself for later down the line. And all of these will be visible to you and only you until you publish it. Um, and you can use that as a working copy for yourself. I don't think there would be a real need for you to, create a separate sheet and do all your markups there, because there just becomes the difficulty of having to juggle between two different sets of drawings. Um, So I would say there's no real harm on you adding your own notes here, as it'll only be visible to you. If you do want to share some of the changes across the board for the team, let's say you want to highlight a specific section or just make sure that you're referring to a specific um, uh, a drawing or part of the drawing and say this is for RFI so and so. You can click publish and everyone can see it as they're going through the notes. And if you just want to look at a clean version of the drawing, like we've said, you can always just do hide markups and you can just see, just a regular set of drawings without any of the notes that you or anyone else has made or have been published.
Yeah, so
So
if you hide the markups, you can always export. You could export this drawing without the markups if you need, you know what I mean? Like you could. So you what you're saying is kind of a duplicative effort, Marvin, because you don't really need you don't really
so
need
let's
all that. So
so let's say you want to just if you want to export all the sheets, for example, here this would be a good chance to add more to this training. You can highlight all your the pages here, click export. before you export, you have all of these different options. Um, you can just choose either just the published issues, um, or you want to choose to show all your unpublished markups, which are the ones that you have made, or only show the published markups that you want to show to everyone. When you export that, it'll combine all the PDF, all the drawings into one PDF, and only show those markups that you have done. But if you just want a clean version, I wouldn't select any of these. It'll just show the latest drawings, and you can export it from here.
I think
But
I would
if
still
you want
prefer to create a working copy and then bridge it like you were mentioning earlier.
it,
Well, anyway, if you could show how to create that working copy, that would be good.
again, show a we'll probably have a different training for that to show you. So
Okay.
we'll we'll do that at a later time. But um, but the same applies to that anyway, to that different project where you just need to, if you have any sheets that are there, you can always click on it, do your markups, publish it if you want, um, and create any notes that you want on that separate project. And with the bridge function, it can just work one way where it shares the drawings that you publish and upload from your main project onto the Asbel project, and it doesn't export any information the other way around. It can just be a one-way bridge. But again, we'll do more. We'll do a separate training for bridging once we've kind of uh, gone through it a little bit more and develop a best practice for that. And we'll hold a separate training.
One more thing on that, Josh. So Marvin, I inputted in the chat the ACC help site on bridges, so that'll go over all of the best practices and guides from ACC themselves for bridging projects. And I think from what I'm hearing, your main concern is duplicating the project sheets. And with Bridge, it's essentially no work. You just click import, and as Josh said, you can set up a one-way or a two-way bridge. So your project sheets will automatically show up in the other project when it's created and bridged, and you can set it up so that when your original baseline project adds a field order or change order sheets, that it'll automatically go to your as-built project or your personal as-built or contractor as-built, so on and so forth. So I don't think there's any concern when it comes to a duplication of work when utilizing ACC bridges. And as Josh said, we'll come out with more training on bridges and as-builts. But for now, please utilize ACC help site. And just in general, for everyone, if you have any questions on any of the ACC modules, ACC help site is a great resource to utilize for guides as how to use certain modules. And obviously things on the wiki site are more tailored towards HDOT's need, but the ACC help site is something that I use as well.
And again, I like to note that there's a great benefit to adding your drawings to the Sheets module, and that you can share the latest and greatest version of the drawing, so everyone is looking at the same set. And
Josh,
all the other modules you can always share.
Josh, let me interject there. Your project sheets should be on ACC Sheets.
Should be, yes.
It's not a matter of want. It should be on there. All the contract plans, any field orders, change orders should be on ACC Sheets. That should be the contract plan sheets.
All right. Any more last minute questions? All right. Thank you for your time today and attending this training. We'll upload the training and send it to you guys shortly once that has been completed. Again, upload your drawings into the Sheets module if you already haven't done so. We'll check in a couple of weeks to see which project still hasn't done so, and we'll follow up and make sure that everyone is uploading all their drawings into the Sheets module. In the sheet, be uploaded in the design contract award phase. I think we'll probably have to follow up with you on that, Calvin. I think we're still working on integration of design to construction, on how we're going to be utilizing ACC during that phase of the project. But we'll follow up with you on that once we determine how we'll be doing that. Is there any plan to have a similar PDF module for our special provisions? Sometimes in the field, I want to look up my special provisions. We can hold a separate training. We do have a best practice for the specifications module, and as well as uploading your standard specs and the special provisions. We'll hold a separate training for that. But if you do want to play around and test that out, there is a specifications module. It's similar to Sheets where you'll need to assign the specifications, but it's a little more complicated. But we can have a separate training for that. But good question. But if you want to reach out for that, we can just email econ and we can kind of show you how to do that. But we'll hold a separate training for the specifications and uploading in the future. All right. There aren't any other questions. Again, thank you everyone for your time today. Hope to see some more drawing sheets for all the different projects that haven't uploaded their drawings yet. But yeah, hope everyone got something out of this today and start utilizing the Sheets module. Thanks everyone. Happy Thursday.